The Veridian Council chamber hummed with the low-frequency vibrations of 1,000 different species, each contributing their particular wavelength to the cacophony. Jennifer Torres stood at the human delegation's platform, her neural interface translating the diplomatic chaos into coherent streams of data. As Earth's chief xenodiplomatic officer, she'd spent 15 years navigating the complex political currents of galactic civilization. Nothing in her extensive training had prepared her for this. "The matter is settled," announced Counselor Thexler, his chitinous mandibles clicking with bureaucratic finality. The arachnid representative's 8 eyes reflected the holographic star charts that dominated the chamber's central display. The human colony on Kepler 442b violated Protocol 7 Alpha by establishing settlements beyond designated quarantine zones. Standard enforcement procedures apply. Jennifer's jaw tightened. Standard enforcement procedures. Such clinical language for the abduction of 47 children. "With respect, Counselor," she began, her voice steady despite the rage simmering beneath her professional veneer, "Protocol 7 Alpha pertains to biological contamination risks. The settlers on Kepler 442b followed every decontamination requirement. Their expansion into the southern continent was approved by your own subcommittee on—" "Irrelevant," interrupted Magistrate Corvin, a crystalline being whose body refracted light into prismatic patterns. "The Compliance Bureau has already transferred the juveniles to Educational Reclamation Facility 17. They will be properly socialized into galactic norms before repatriation." The holographic display shifted, showing the sterile corridors of the facility, a vast station orbiting a brown dwarf in neutral space. Jennifer had reviewed the specifications during her emergency flight to the Council homeworld. The facility was designed for species with silicon-based biology, atmospheric requirements incompatible with human physiology, and educational protocols that treated individual consciousness as a deviation to be corrected. 47 children. The youngest was 4 years old. Her neural interface chimed softly. A priority message from Captain Kevin Reeves, commander of the UNES Prometheus, humanity's first deep space carrier. She opened the encrypted channel while maintaining her diplomatic facade. "Jennifer, we're 3 jumps out from Facility 17. I've got authorization codes from High Command. Just say the word." She'd known Kevin since the Academy, back when humanity's greatest achievement was a sustainable lunar colony. Now he commanded a vessel that could reduce planets to molten slag, though such weapons were strictly prohibited under galactic law. The Prometheus was supposedly a research and exploration ship, equipped with cutting-edge human technology that most Council species still didn't fully understand. "Counselor Thexler," Jennifer continued aloud, "I formally request immediate access to the facility for human medical staff. Our children have specific physiological needs that—" "Your species was provided comprehensive care guidelines upon admission to the Council," Corvin interrupted again. "The facility is equipped to handle carbon-based life forms. This matter is closed." Jennifer closed her eyes briefly, making a calculation that would either save 47 lives or start a war. She sent a single encrypted word to Kevin: "Execute." 3 days later, the galactic news networks exploded with reports of an impossible theft. Educational Reclamation Facility 17 had been infiltrated by an unknown force that disabled its defense grid, bypassed quantum-locked security systems, and extracted all 47 human children without firing a single shot. The station's AI reported only fleeting sensor ghosts, phantom signatures that appeared and vanished like quantum uncertainty made manifest. Jennifer watched the coverage from her quarters aboard the diplomatic vessel returning to Earth. The Council was in chaos. Security protocols that had stood unchallenged for millennia had been rendered meaningless. 3 major species were threatening to withdraw from the Council entirely, convinced this represented a new threat to galactic order. Her interface chimed. Kievan's face appeared, looking haggard but satisfied. Behind him, she could see the Prometheus's medical bay, where human doctors were treating the children for mild hypothermia and malnutrition. All 47 were alive and recovering. "Package delivered," Kievan said simply. "We used the quantum displacement drive, the one that's supposedly still theoretical. Turns out when you're not bound by council regulations about what's safe to research, you can accomplish quite a lot." Jennifer allowed herself a small smile. "The council is terrified. They're calling it an act of war." "Are they mobilizing?" "No, that's the interesting part. They're too busy arguing about which species might have developed the capability to do this. Nobody suspects humans because we're too primitive." Kievan leaned back, and Jennifer could see the weight of command on his features. "How long until they figure it out?" "Does it matter?" Jennifer asked. "We've drawn a line. They took our children thinking we'd accept their bureaucratic justifications, their proper procedures. They thought we'd defer to galactic authority like we always have." She pulled up a data file she'd been compiling, a comprehensive analysis of humanity's technological trajectory over the past 50 years. While other species had stagnated under the Council's restrictive regulations on dangerous research, humanity had pursued every avenue of scientific inquiry. Quantum mechanics, consciousness theory, biotechnology that bordered on magic, artificial intelligence that exceeded galactic norms by orders of magnitude. The Council had welcomed humans as curious primitives, potential candidates for membership in their vast civilization. What they'd failed to understand was that humanity's rapid advancement wasn't an anomaly, it was their baseline. "I've drafted new terms for our Council membership," Jennifer continued. "Full sovereignty over all human colonies, no external interference in our internal affairs, and immediate cessation of any enforcement actions without unanimous consent from all member species." Kievan whistled. "They'll never accept those terms." "Then we'll leave the Council. We'll establish our own networks, our own trade routes. We've already proven we can operate beyond their security capabilities. Within a decade, we'll surpass most Council species technologically. Within a century." She let the implication hang. The next Council session was remarkably different in tone. Jennifer stood at the human delegation platform again, but this time every species representative watched her with a mixture of caution and something approaching fear. The mystery of Facility 17 remained unsolved, but the correlation of timing hadn't escaped anyone's notice. Councillor Thexler's mandibles remained still as he spoke. "The Council has reviewed your proposed amendments to humanity's membership status. While unprecedented, we find the arguments compelling." "Furthermore," added Magistrate Corvin, their crystalline structure flickering with unusual patterns, "the Compliance Bureau has been restructured. Protocol 7 Alpha enforcement will now require direct Council approval with full transparency for affected species." Jennifer nodded gracefully, accepting what was effectively a complete capitulation without gloating. "Humanity appreciates the Council's wisdom. We look forward to continuing our partnership on these new terms." As the session concluded and she returned to her transport, Jennifer opened a final message to Kievan. "Children are home. Terms accepted. The Council knows we won't back down again. Recommend keeping the Prometheus on patrol. We've changed the galactic equation." Kievan's response was immediate. "Already ahead of you. We've got 3 more ships in final construction using the same displacement tech. And Jennifer, the science teams have been asking, if we can slip past quantum lock security, what else might be possible?" Jennifer considered the question as Earth grew larger in the viewport. Humanity had been the newcomers, the primitives learning from their galactic betters. But when pushed, when their children were threatened, they'd revealed capabilities that shouldn't have existed. The Council would spend decades trying to understand how such a young species had developed such advanced technology. Let them wonder, she thought. Let them fear. Better they understand now that humanity protects its own, regardless of the cost, regardless of the odds. The galaxy had learned an essential truth. Humans could be patient diplomats, gracious partners, and enthusiastic students of galactic civilization. But take their children, and they would burn down the stars themselves to bring them home. The Viridian Council would never forget the lesson. In the grand archives of galactic history, scholars would debate the moment when humanity transitioned from junior member to legitimate power. Some would point to technological achievements, others to economic influence. Jennifer knew the truth. It began the moment they took the children, and ended when humanity proved that some lines, once crossed, would be answered not with diplomacy or appeals to authority, but with actions so swift and decisive that even ancient civilizations would pause to reconsider their assumptions. The galactic uproar had indeed begun when human children were taken, but it would echo far longer as a reminder: underestimate humanity at your peril.